Hello everyone, I'm Ben Jamin from Jamin Studios. I hope you're all having a great day. Welcome back to another video. I know it's been a while, but I'm back and we're first episode that I am uploading to the channel is about the Godot grid. And it does look a little different from last time. Last episode we were working on the lights and lighting up some tiles. This one we actually have tunnels and hallways and different tiles with orientations, like a four-way intersection you see here. We have straight pieces, and you can see that we'll have turns here, three-way intersections, and you can see that it starts building off of each other and just creating random rooms because it's randomly placing tiles, and you can't move into the other squares. You can't move against the white. You can't move through it. And that's what we'll be showing off today in today's video. So let's just jump right into it then. Uh, I did put a camera on our player so he can move around and we can see him moving around to the different areas. And the and I did offload most of the code to the tile map. So all the player has to worry about is just moving and then checking with the tile map to see if we can move. And the input function does look very similar to what we did have. We have check tile, which I did change. And instead of replace tiles on our player, I said we're offloading it to the tile map, and now we're calling it place tiles. And this would randomly place a tile based on the reorientation of the tile we're on and the direction we're going in. And I'll show you all that here in a sec. So as you can see, this is pretty similar to what we had before, and our check tile function still remain the same. I did comment out all of this just because we are not doing lit up tiles. We have different ones, so we're gonna have to write a little bit of different code for it. And as you can see, just to check to see if we can move, we have two different functions. We have our check tile movement directions and our check next tile movement directions. So this one is checking to see about the orientation of the tile we're on and if we're able to move with the direction we are choosing. And this one is to just to check to make sure if this if we are moving in the right direction, is the orientation of the tile that we're trying to move to, is it allowing us to move there as well? Because there could be walls in the way for these. And I do have single tiles for all of these, as you can see. Oh, let me get back here. I have single tiles for all of these, different orientations for the straights, the turns, four-way intersections, and three-way intersections as well. And so with covering the player, we can now go to the tile map for the rest of this because I've offloaded all of the rest, basically the checking and the placing of these tiles. So the check tile ID and place tiles, those have remained the same. I've got rid of the keys because we have no keys or locks or doors in this scenario here, but we will in the future just to make things a little more game-like and a little more interesting. So our first function that we had was checking tile movement directions. And as I mentioned, this one is for the tile that we are on. So we must check what tile it is and basically the direction that we can go in. So if we have one, actually, so zero is that four-way intersection. So no matter what way you're going, it's going to be true. So then our first one, which if you go to your tile map, go to 2D, and you see the screen right here, if you just hover over any of these tiles, you can see what the image is called. So you see what I've named it, .png, and you see 5 right next to it. That 5 means, started with 0, that it is actually in the 6th position of how many tiles we have. So if we say our tile ID is 5, as we can see here, so that would be that first tile there. That would be that three-way bottom intersection that looks like this. That is number 5 for tile ID, and we can move in the down direction, the right direction, and the left direction, just not the up direction. And so if we are selecting those arrows to move our player, then we return true. If not, then we return false, and we wouldn't move. So then for our next one, let's say we are going in the right direction. We are on this tile, that tile 5 there, and we're trying to move right. And so our system would say that this is a valid direction we can choose. Yet, what if we have that tile instead? This one is 7. This should be invalid since there is a white wall right here and that we shouldn't be able to move through. And that is what our next function is for. Check next tile movement directions. And for this, we grab our converted position for the tile map's layout, and then the direction for which way we are going. And with that, we can check the tile ID of the next guy, the next tile we're trying to get to. So that's 7. This guy right here, that's 7. If we go back, you can see that each direction would have a corresponding orientation per uh, whatever tile we're trying to get there. So if we're trying to go up, you have to think a little backwards about this one. So we are going up into the next tile. So in order to get this tile to be in this tile, we have to go up. And so this one would be valid. And you can end this one too as well, since there is space right here, that these two tiles would be valid. And those were 5 and 7. So if we're trying to go up, then 5 and 7 is valid. Yet you see here that I don't have 5 or 7 here. That's because we're returning false. There were more return falses than return trues. So if I flipped it the other way and had this be return true, then yes, I would have 5 or 7 be up here instead. But since there's more invalid ones, meaning, let me get another example then. Let's see, if we have this tile right here, we cannot move up. This would be an invalid tile, and it is number 4 for up. If we go back here, you can see that we have tile ID number 4 right there, and it would return false, and we would move on, and it would say, oh, sorry, you can't move, and it wouldn't move our player. And that goes for all the rest of them, right, left, and down. For this, you had to think backwards about the way that I've done it. If you do it the other way, you would have, so I have up to 10, which means that I have, 11. But since we have that four-way intersection, you really don't need to worry about the 0. So, but you would have to include it in the other one if you did want to return true. So you would have to have 11 minus 4, 7. You would have to have 7 different cases all saying true. If you wanted to do that, go for it. I would rather just do something more simpler that still works. And this one looks a lot cleaner and a lot nicer. And so that's where we are checking our movements. So if these return true and then this one just says it's still true, then we can move. And then our player would then move to the tile, and we would have to have another one appear here. And that is where place tiles and place random tile comes into play. So for place tiles, we need to get the position of each tile around the tile where we can step into. So I told you 0 was our four-way intersection, so we need to place a random tile in each direction, up, down, right, left, and the position of the tile that we are stepping into. So that's what these uh, parameters are. And then I showed you that, was it 5? 5 and 7? So 5 was uh, the that three-way intersection right here. Yep. And then this one is this one. And then this one's 7. So we have those three way intersections. So 5 is uh, down, right, and left. So if we look back here to 5, we have down, right, and left. And it would place tiles on either side of them. Right now, it would just be a random tile, but we'll get into how we're going to fix the orientation of it. If we are just choosing randomly, it could even choose that sort of tile when you step into it, and we don't want that. And we would also have to write a line of code so we don't overwrite the tiles that we've already stepped into. If we do all the directions, it would then overwrite the one that we just came from. And that's not something we want to do. So that's where place random tile comes into play. Uh, this pretty much just goes through each one, each of the orientation, each of the paths that we can take, no matter if we've already been there or if it is there. I mean, like if there's a tile already placed there. So that's where place random tile comes into play. We are then checking to see if there is nothing there. Because if there is nothing there, then we should place something. If there is something there, we should just do nothing and move on. And so that blank space you see all around here to the tile map and to the tile ID, that would just be -1. So all the space is -1 for the tile ID according to the tile map. And that's what we have right here. So if it is -1, then let's place a new tile down. And I do the same thing for each one, up, right, left, down, except the thing that does change between them is the array, basically the actual tile IDs that this tile map has. So all of these tile IDs, that 5, that 7, the 0, all of those are in the arrays that will actually complete the orientation of the tile that we just went into. So we have each one for up, each one for right, left, and down. We choose a random number in here to then figure out how to place the tile down. So we get a random number. It's not going to be one of these numbers, but it's going to be an index for these numbers. That's what we have right here. So that random number has num, and num is the random number for the index of tile num. And then we can just pull out a random tile ID to then place the tile down. And for that, it's just a simple one that we haven't changed since our last episode of placing the tile down. And that's basically it. There's no randomness, or I mean, it's completely random, but there are other uh, things out there like procedural generation, which we may get into, that could make it look a little better. Because if I just keep running around here, it's just doing nonsense. It's just randomly placing down random tiles that we can just go through and it'll go on forever and ever without an end. And that's basically the end of this video. So thank you for sticking around until the end. If you have any comments, questions, concerns about the videos, or if you want to see something, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm always appreciative of them. So please let me know if there's anything you guys would like to see, or if you have any questions about the coding that you want to get to know a little more about it. That's awesome. But this has been Ben Jamin from Jamin Studios. Thank you for stopping by.